All right, Electrify America in South Dakota. Let's see what our luck is this time.
I'm in the middle of a road trip across the United States. I've traveled over 5,000 miles. I've stopped at over 40 EV chargers, all to answer the question, can you really take an EV on a road trip? This is part 2 of my series, and if you haven't seen part 1, I'll put a link to it in the description.
Looks like we're at 118 kilowatts, which actually is pretty good for some of my experiences with Electrify America. But before I get into what exactly my experiences are, let me talk a little bit about the different types of charging there are. Now, before I made this trip, I was aware of the different levels of charging. There's level 1, level 2, and level 3 that I'll explain in a minute. But what I didn't really understand and appreciate is how all 3 of them come into play when you're making a cross-country road trip. But first, let me explain the different levels of charging. Level 1 charging is exactly what it sounds like. It's the first level of charging, and it uses just a standard plug. I mean, if you've plugged a lamp in, you've plugged a level 1 charger in. It's the same plug that you use in any household, and you plug one into the wall and the other end into the car. The downside is it charges very slow. You only get maybe 1 or 2 or 3 miles per hour charging in the car. So it's not really good for long-term road tripping. It did come in handy though when I stayed at a friend's house and I could plug it in, and I was there for several days and I just left the car plugged in and I was able to charge over a couple of days from almost empty to almost full. The good side also is that charging from a household outlet is very inexpensive. The next is level 2 charging, and this is where most EV owners charge. Level 2 charging is 240 volts. It's the same 240 volts that probably powers your electric dryer or your oven. And you could charge about 20 to 40 miles per hour when you're charged into a level 2 charger. So a lot of people use these as overnight chargers. They come home and they plug in. What I found on this trip though is it's very good for overnight charging when you're at a hotel. So for example, I just checked into this hotel. In their downstairs garage, they have a level 2 charger. So I'm gonna plug in, charge my vehicle while I spend the night here. And you know what? It's free. So this is free overnight power that actually helps you on a road trip. So when you're planning, this is one of the great things, is seeing which hotels have free level 2 charging. So this is a level 3 charger, which is also called a DC fast charger because it uses DC electricity. These are the chargers that make cross-country road tripping possible. You'll see them all over major highways, interstates, in major cities also. And they charge directly to your car's battery. And you could get 100, 200 miles in maybe 25 to 30 minutes, depending upon the speed of the charger and how fast your car can take the electricity from the charger. These are the things that make cross-country travel viable. There's lots of different brands. There's Tesla, Electrify America, Quick Charge. Lots of different companies are in the market of providing high-speed charging. So there's a big difference between charging an EV and filling a car with gas. Now, when you fill a car with gas, you could be empty and you fill the tank all the way up, and that liquid is going in at the same rate. With a battery, it's very different. The rate of electricity going into the battery is much quicker when the battery is lower. If you're at 0, 20%, the battery will charge very fast. But when you get to about 80%, it starts to slow down, and that's to manage heat and protect the battery. So when you are charging, you really don't want to charge all the way to 100% unless you absolutely need that range. Most people just go to 80% because that's the quickest charge you're going to get. It might take you as long to get from 80 to 100 as it did to take you from 20 to 80, just because of the way the charge curve works on a battery. So when you're road tripping, I only go down to about 20% or so, and I'll charge up to 80. Now, if the next charger is much further down the line, I might bump it up to 90 or 95. But the quickest charge is going to be between some like 20% to 80%. It really doesn't take, it's really not worth your time to charge for that extra 20% from 80 to 100, I can get in the car and drive to the next charging station, and by the time I get there, I'll be below that 80 and the charge will go much faster. So there are two types of chargers that most cars have. This is called the North American Charging Standard, NACS. It was developed by Tesla, and a lot of manufacturers are now moving to it. It's really easy, small, convenient to use, so it's easy to plug in. CCS is the other charging standard, and that's this connection. A little bit bigger, a little bit bulkier. Most cars have this now, but they're moving to the North American Charging Standard. So you'll see this on most charging stations that are non-Teslas. So what does America's EV infrastructure look like? Well, since I've been on the road, I've tried all sorts of different networks, and here's what I found. So the Tesla Supercharger network is what I ended up using quite a bit because they really are everywhere. I joined the membership, and if you do the membership and you get it, you buy an adapter, you can use their version 2, 3, and 4 chargers. Their version 1 chargers, the first ones that came out, aren't compatible or opened up to non-Teslas. But if you do use the 2, 3s, or 4s with an adapter and a membership, you get a much cheaper rate than a lot of the other charging networks. Some Teslas do both charging adapters. If you just pull it out, it's a regular Tesla adapter. If you hold the button for a certain amount of time, the adapter comes out, and you could use this as a CCS charger. So it goes either the North American Standard Charger or the CCS. So CCS, North American Standard. One of the things about generation 2 and 3 Tesla chargers is they have a very short cord. So a lot of times you gotta jockey yourself into different charging stations to get there. Now, version 4s have a much longer cord, and so you could go from any side of the vehicle to charge. But these older Tesla chargers really were made for Teslas, which all have the plug in the back, very back on the driver's side. So there's a little jockeying to do. Luckily, most of these stations that I've been at, no one's around, so kind of jockeying to get close to the station, not a problem. So Electrify America has been the biggest disappointment in this trip. When I got the car, I thought, okay, I'm going to use Electrify America a lot cross country, but here's another great example. They only build charging stations with 4 chargers, and 2 of the 4 are out of order. And I just called Electrify America to report the 2 out of 4, and they said they were aware of them. They have no estimated time of when they'll be fixed. I asked them when they were reported down, and they said, well, they've been down for a while. So this just shows you the maintenance of Electrify America and why you really can't depend on them. Again, just really disappointing. This was one of my most frustrating experiences on the road, and it was with the Chargepoint network, where I spent over 30 minutes trying to get a charge from one of their stations. Back in the charger. Now the screen says available.
Yeah, just give me 2 moments.
Okay.
I will work on this for you right now.
All right, this is the first time we've struck out. We tried all 4 of these charge points. None of them worked. I called Chargepoint. They remotely started sessions. They said it should be distributing energy, but it didn't. So basically, the whole station is down. Luckily, there is an Electrify America down the street. We wanted to use this because the prices were better. So now we're off to Electrify America. Now, one thing Chargepoint does have is a pretty extensive network of level 2 chargers. So if I couldn't find a free level 2 charger, I used their chargers, which were a bit on the expensive side. Well, another Chargepoint failure. I'm here in Tennessee. There are 4 chargers, and 2 of the 4 are out. Thankfully, someone who was just charging here told me they tried all of them. and told me which ones worked and which ones didn't. So I don't know, so far the Chargepoint network has been the least reliable. Now, I didn't run into a lot of Rivian chargers on the road, but when I did, they were very reliable and very fast. The only downside was that they tended to be more expensive than a lot of the other charger brands. So we just finished charging. We charged for 23 minutes, which is more than we needed to. $32. Like I said, Rivian chargers, although they're nice and fast, they're more expensive. Iona is a newer charging network. I didn't really run into a lot of them on the road, but when I did, the chargers were very easy to use. They have a credit card reader, you could just tap and pay, and the screen was very, very easy to understand. Another provider I found was Francis Energy, and this one in New Mexico is probably one of the nicest designed chargers. A huge screen, tap and go payment, and very informative on what's happening with the charging of your car. We're in Shawnee, Oklahoma now, and we are at a Tesla charger, but it is run by a company called Francis Energy. We have a Francis Energy card for this road trip, but we're also able to use the Tesla app, so interesting little charger. Sometimes you luck out and you get a free charger. We are in Roswell, New Mexico at the UFO Museum, and they are giving free power. So this is 100% free high-speed power. I'm gonna charge this thing up all the way to 100%. Well, we lucked out again. Xcel Energy apparently has some free chargers in New Mexico, so we're in Clovis, New Mexico, not that far from Texas, and here's another free high-speed charger. So this means we traveled from Roswell and we're going to travel all the way to Amarillo on free electricity. So sometimes you get chargers that don't work, and sometimes you get chargers that are free. I'm at a GM Energy at a pilot station. I've never charged at one of these, actually maybe once before. Wanted to try it even though I didn't have to charge, but I'm not getting a very good charge. I'm charging at 72 kilowatts. I am over 80%. I'm going to pull the plug, but I never got past, say, 80 on this charge. Another regional network I used was the Red E network, and I found this mostly in Michigan. These were very well designed chargers. You can just use tap and go with your credit card. I got a great charge from them, and the screens are easy to read. They're very intuitive. They operate like a gas pump. You just tap and fill up your car. So we are in Nebraska, and this is a new one on me. This is a Walmart charger. So if you check it out, huge screen, up to 400 kilowatts. It's got a CCS adapter plug and a NACS, and the rate is okay. It's 46 cents a kilowatt hour. However, I'm getting a good charge on here. I'm getting 175 kilowatts. The only bummer is that you have to have a Walmart app. So I had to sit here and download the Walmart app and set up a payment method. There's no scan and go thing here. So they really want you to join and log on and have their app to use it. But it is nice to know that they've got both charging club plugs here, and it's a high-speed charger located right here at Walmart. Also has a very long cable. I should point this out too. So you can take either cable and pull it out. Very well designed. I would say, I wish it had a credit card scanner, but other than that, and a lower price. Besides that, it really is a well set up charger. Flow was another regional charging network I used. This one, unfortunately, the tap and go didn't work, so I had to download their app using pretty sketchy cellular coverage. Although it was a level 3 charger, I never really got more than 76 kilowatts when I was charging it. Meijer Discount Store is also getting into the charger game. I found this in one of their parking lots. It wasn't operational yet. It looks like it was still being installed. Circle K, which also owns holiday gas stations in the Midwest, is also getting into the charging game. and are slowly adding high-speed chargers at their gas stations and convenience stores. I didn't run into many EVgo charging stations. In fact, this one was the only one, and it had a higher rate than the nearby Tesla one. Because of that, I opted just to charge at Tesla, but I did want to check this one out and see what it was about. If there's one company that really has charging networks down, it's actually a gas station called QuickTrip. And this is a QuickTrip charger. Now, a couple things about this charger. First of all, look at this screen. Easy to read, tells you exactly what you need to do. Plug in first. You can use just a credit card, you could use tap and go, or you could use their app. And their app lets you join and get even cheaper charging. So with the Quick Charge app, credit card, or tap and pay. So it's easy. Second thing, two types of charging interfaces. On one side, you've got the NASC, the North American Charging Standard, which is kind of the Tesla charger. Same machine. CCS charger for what the Buzz takes. So one device, big screen, properly shown what it is. You can see what you're doing. Credit card, app, tap to pay. And if you look at this, like a gas station, clean, trash, and lots of open space. Chompers likes it. I didn't use the Blink network a lot, but I did use this particular charger several times while I was in the area. But I did have a pretty frustrating experience trying to find a Blink charger. On their app, it showed a Blink charger at this car wash that I drove to, and I drove around this car wash many, many times and could never find the Blink charger. So what has my experience been going across country? Well, first of all, Tesla opening up their network to non-Teslas really was a game changer. I really did end up relying on this network a lot more. Now, they've gotten a jump start on all the other charging networks. They have a very mature infrastructure. So I really liked using them because they were always reliable. What I didn't like was you have to have an app to use a Tesla charger. And the other thing is, personally, I'm not a fan of Elon Musk. I don't really like giving a real rich man more money. But as far as reliability, this was probably the biggest game changer. I've also come up with what I call charging best practices, and these are things that I think all charging companies should adopt. The first thing is having tap and go. Using a Tesla charger or some of the other chargers, you had to download an app and start the charging session on their phone. Well, in sketchy cellular areas, that's kind of a bummer. So having tap and go, I think, is one really important thing. The other important thing is having a screen that tells you how to start charging, because a lot of these networks, starting a charging session is different. So those that had big screens that were very clearly marked also is a best practice. And finally, having online availability that you can check how many chargers are available or online, and then for the charging network to open that up to applications like Google Maps or a better route planner, so that when you're planning your route, you can see what chargers are available, if there are down chargers, and what it's going to be like when you get to a charging station. Now, I'm not done with my trip. I'm actually got a couple more weeks, and I'm going to do another video on what are the two most important things of travel: time and money. I'm going to talk about how much time charging added to a trip and how much it costs. So hopefully you like this video and this series. If you did, give it a thumbs up, hit that like button and subscribe, and I will see you on the open road.